Today, I have the pleasure of getting to know Anna Margo out of LA. Anna, how we doing? How's the
We're-
weather out there? Is it sunny and 70?
It's sunny and really windy today for some reason, but I like it. It's a kind of a vibe. Thanks for having me
Well,
on.
of course, of course. We are super excited. Your label mates are you're managed by Mac and Gold is another one of our artists that we've spoken with, and we're super excited to get to know you a little bit better. And I want to get into it. Like, how did we get into this? You're a trained piano player per college, but talk about getting into this industry and what
Yeah,
inspired you to do it.
for sure. So originally, I never really had concrete plans to enter the industry and do this professionally. I just always had a really big passion for music, and I've been playing piano since I was like 8 or 9. So since then, I've been classically trained, doing competitions and stuff like that. So I was really deep into the classical world, and writing music for me was just like an outlet. It was just something that I loved to do, and it felt like a privilege to be able to do. I never thought that I'd be in the position I am today actually pursuing it. So I feel really blessed to be able to do that. Um, it wasn't until like sophomore year of high school that I decided to really put everything into it. I homeschooled after my freshman year of high school and kind of just took a gamble. I had no manager at the time. I had no plan. I had no like guarantee that I would ever, see anything come out of it. It was just, a feeling I had, a feeling my dad had. And he believed in it more than I did, if I'm being completely honest. Uh, he also was really musically inclined as a kid. So he's kind of living his dream through me. So it's kind of just like me and my dad kind of doing this together. And over the years, I've just met people in the industry that kind of helped get me to where I am. Personally, I started posting covers on YouTube when I was like 15, 16, and a couple of them went viral. And that's how I met my first manager.
Mhm.
And then very quickly, I was like, I don't want to do covers. I just want to write songs. I just want to make something original, whether that's for me or for someone else. So for a few years after that, up until now, I've been writing for other artists and
Mhm.
taught myself how to produce, bought a bunch of gear, and just started to like pick up the pace that way. And yeah, so for the past few years, it's just been mainly like writing, producing for other people till I could figure out like what my sound is and
Mhm.
what I want to say to the world and how I want to like kind of come out as an artist. Took a minute to figure that out, but we got there.
I like it. I like it. So, you guys take a gamble. When you're a sophomore. I mean, like that. Before your sophomore year of high school. I mean, that's a big step. Now, with your piano competitions, I mean, what was your I guess, did you have a go-to piece that you would be like, all right, this is what's going to close this thing down. I'm going to win it with this one, or like, did you know, talk about those competitions a little bit?
Yeah.
Like, Cash and I are both sports guys, so we always I like this competition, and we want to see what's the closer.
You got it. So basically, how those competitions work, they give you like an outline. So they say you're playing three pieces. The first one has to be something by Bach, like the composer, for example. It has to be like a fugue by him. And then they say, like, oh, the second piece has to be like a prelude by like one of these composers. And then the third one has to be like this, for example. So they kind of give you something to go off of. And that way it's like, it's fair judging the other students because
Sure.
you're all playing under the same kind of like guidelines type of thing. But I just like the ones that sound harder. So I like the flashy ones. And I was actually like, I had only been playing for a year when I did my first competition. And I went in my age group and I won first place the first year. And they were shocked that I'd been only playing for a year. And then I went back the next year again with my age group and competed again and won first place again. And then that year we got a letter from that committee saying that like you can't compete next year to be fair to the other kids in your age group. If you still want to compete, you have to compete against the older age group. So I was 12 at this point, 12 or 13, competing against the 15 to 19-year-olds, and I won first place that year too. So then that was the last competition I did besides like the school talent shows and stuff like that. But yeah, that was like the last competition I felt like doing. I was like, okay, I'm over it now.
Wow. So you just crushed everybody. That's awesome. I mean, that's definitely a feather in the cap for sure. What for those talent shows, like, what were some of the pieces or artists? Would you play classical for the talent show too, or
Yeah,
would you get,
yeah.
do something a little bit different?
So I did my eighth grade talent show, and I was supposed to sing initially. Then I stood in line, and that day that I woke up that I had to audition to be in the show, I had a sore throat and I felt like shit. And I'm standing in line and I'm like on the verge of tears, and I'm like, I'm gonna like not make it. Like I can't sing, I can barely talk right now. I don't know what's going on. And I just took it as a sign to like maybe not sing, because your go-to as a singer is to sing. But I was like, oh yeah, I play piano. Like I forgot that I had that as an option. So I'm standing in line deciding what piece I'm going to play, and I went with Fantasy Etude by Chopin, which I till this day it's like my go-to when someone's like, oh, play something on the piano. That's what I'll play,
Yeah.
because it's just like one of my favorite pieces of all time. So I played that for the audition and got through, and then I won the talent show with that piece, even though it was like not planned and I wasn't supposed to play anything. I was planning on singing, but yeah, I guess it was just meant to be piano that day.
Yeah. All right, last one before we'll move on to
Right.
more current role. But I gotta know, hours. Like, I took some piano lessons in college, and I was lucky enough that one of those guys were nice to me, and like they were like, yeah, you can come in, just bring me a Diet Coke every day, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
you can get 30 minutes with me. And I was like, oh sweet, let's go. So hours upon hours of practice for you. Like, what was the practice strategy, every day, for
Well,
you
it was
to
a
get to
fight.
that point?
It was a fight at home every day to practice. I didn't practice as much as I probably should have. And on top of that, you're supposed to read the notes when you're learning the pieces. And I do know how to read notes, but I would just kind of hear what my teacher played and do the same thing, kind of like a parrot. Like I would just hear it and then be able to mimic what he did. And that's kind of how I learned up until he realized what I was doing. And then he would block his hands when he would like when we would be learning something new, so that I don't cheat that way. But practicing was like I had to make like deals with my parents where they're like, "Oh, you can't go to this birthday today. You didn't practice piano." So it was like a mandatory like you have to practice, and it was a constant argument at home as a kid growing up. You just hate it. But as I got older, now it's like a form of meditation for me. Like I
Mhm.
genuinely like look for that time in the day that I can dedicate to practicing, because obviously my schedule is like not the same as it was when I was 11.
Yeah.
But yeah, back then it felt like punishment. It was like, oh, you literally like I'm 10 years old and I can't go to this birthday party that everyone else can go to because I didn't practice piano or I didn't do my vocal warm-ups and like stuff like that. So it felt like a punishment when I was younger, but as I got older, I was like, no, they did me a favor. There's a reason why, you know, there's something that makes me a little bit different today.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, like, that's definitely like that kind of work ethic you get.
Yeah.
It gets ingrained to you when you're younger, and then you kind of that is who you are and who you become, later on. So very very interesting. Again, I'm a not a wannabe, but I'm a absolute garbage man. I'll just go up there and play some chords, and people think I know how to play the piano, and they
It
like,
makes
do you
music
know how to play?
really matter
Yeah,
as long
but
as it sounds good.
yeah. But anyway, let's fast forward a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about your current era, the Anna Margo era. Like, you just released Something to Lose. We always want to learn about the writing process and how how did that become a thing?
Yeah.
We always like, how did it become from a thought in your head to this, a piece of music? So talk about that a little bit.
So Something to Lose is the fourth single of the first four songs I put out. And it's kind of like the last piece of this story, um, of kind of what I went through over the past 2, 3 years, um, through, COVID happening. And then everyone was in this really confused mindset. And that's kind of what the first couple songs are about. and then Know You and Something to Lose are about like someone coming along and kind of flipping your world upside down. And Something to Lose is like, okay, now you've fallen for this person, and for the first time I have something to lose. So it's like I've never felt this before. I don't know what to do with it, but it's, it's happened. Like I can't do anything about it at this point. I'm in love with this person, but it's just like still you're scared. You're like, oh shit, now, my heart has something to lose. I don't know how I'm gonna go about this. And the video, which actually is coming out today, kind of
Oh,
shows that in what it looks like in my head. So all the videos are like, they kind of play out like a film if you watch them back to back, the end of
oh,
one's the beginning of the next. And this is the last music video as well, so it kind of concludes this whole little, dreamlike world I've created with the video concept. So it kind of shows like what the honeymoon phase looks like in your head. But as the video progresses, things start to like get weird and the dancers start to mess up choreography. And then, like, it's like the dream is kind of breaking until at the very end, I'm just like left completely alone again. So, like, the things that I was scared of happening happened, in
wow.
it all. So, yeah, it's kind of like a 360.
Yeah. That's awesome that, so did you when you wrote the songs initially, did you think, all right, like we're gonna definitely put a video piece to this because I want to definitely have some visual to it, or like was there that something that came after?
I mean, when you write a song, it's just for me, I see things visually while the music starts to come together and like the song starts to sound like a finished concept. I just start to see things immediately. And these songs weren't even written in this order. It's just like when I finished them, I was like, oh, they're accidentally kind of telling a story of like stuff that happened to me this year. And then they just kind of, I luckily, have the means to be able to fund videos like that.
Hmm.
Otherwise, as an artist, an independent artist at that, you don't know if you'll be able to like pay for that kind of concept. It's just any song that I write, I have a visual in my head automatically. And it's just like if you're lucky enough to be able to execute it, they look exactly like I saw them in my head. So yeah,
Wow, that's awesome.
the music itself though is, sorry about that.
Oh, good.
Music itself is inspired by kind of like a bossa nova feel, and part of that is because my parents, before they moved to America, lived in Brazil for a few years, and they had a really like tough time out there. Obviously, financially, they were just like trying to get up on their feet. They're in a foreign country, they don't speak the language, and like they described that to me as still like the happiest few months of their lives because it was just such a beautiful culture. They learned the language, and like that's where they really fell in love and were like, yeah, you're my life partner. So I kind of wanted to add a little bit of like a bossa nova feel as like a nod to that and their experience.
Wow, that's awesome. Now, do you start when you get into the studio and you're like, all right, I got the idea, I've seen something. Like, what does that look like? Are you chords first? Are you getting on the piano first? Are you doing, I've heard people that just write lyrics first. So what's your process look like in that aspect of
I'm
it?
I'm definitely a chords and melody first type of person, and
Hmm.
then lyrics always come last for me. So yeah, I definitely like come up with the music first, whether that's like, oh, I was practicing piano and then I accidentally came across these chords and was like, oh, that's dope. And then I'll just pull out my phone and start like humming to it, writing melodies until I've like really got something. Or it's like, you're in a session with different producers and you guys start going through loops together until something like comes at me and I
Hmm.
just, get inspired by it. But I'm always definitely like chords first, then melody. I'll do like an hour of different melodies and record everything and then go back and pick like what the best one was. So yeah, I mean the process varies depending on like what the situation is, but usually melody, chords, and then I'll start building the production around that. And then I'll sit down and, try to figure out what the song's about
Hmm.
and just put words together till it sounds like a song.
Yeah. I always find it interesting, like how like people write lyrics. So like, what are some of the things that inspire you whenever you are writing? Like, and just like I got to put words to these. This music makes me feel this way, but like,
Yeah.
here are the words that go to it. Like, it's always such a curious process.
Yeah, it's different for every song I've written. Sometimes they come super fast and super naturally, and it's just, it's based off of how the music makes me feel already. Other times it takes a little more effort for me to like just sit with what I have musically until like, oh, I have my first sentence. And I've met writers that like to start with the hook and get that out of the way because it's like the most important part of the song. But for me, I always start with the first line, and then
Mm,
that kind of like influences where the song's gonna go. So I kind of just write as I go, and then I'm like, oh, this song's about this. So it just kind of comes as I start writing. So I just start from the very beginning and then, just try to put words together that end up being like subconsciously what I'm really going through in that moment in time.
Gotcha. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, are you planning on, for kind of where you're going with you put out 4 singles, so you think is another single coming, or what can we expect kind of, are we gonna get a packaged album, maybe an EP? What's on the horizon a little bit?
Well, these singles were kind of leading to a me finding myself moment. And I am releasing an EP soon, which I haven't told anyone yet.
Ooh,
So that EP is going to have all new songs on it. So none of these singles are going to be part of the EP. So these kind of like concluded this story, and the EP is going to be, the new kind of Anna Margo, I guess. So it's the sound is very much still cohesive with the songs that exist already, but it's kind of one notch up. But yeah, that's what I'm working on finishing up right now. We don't have a date yet, but definitely this year and definitely sooner rather than later. So I'm really excited about that.
awesome. Well, that's gonna be great. Like a little new EP at the end, 2023
My
EP.
first my first real project. It's crazy.
I love it. I love it. Now, you mentioned a little bit about your, you are a producer as well. You taught yourself how to do that. Like, when you're writing and working with other artists, like, how do you like? Are there things that you like that maybe they don't like that you're like, oh, that one's going back in the back pocket for Anna Margo, or like, it's always interesting when people are like, yeah, like I work with other people, we write together. So how do you kind of determine that? Like, what's that look like?
It varies depending on who the artist is and whether it's like a big artist that I'm ghostwriting for and I don't even get to meet them and we just, work on it with a different producer and then, they take the song. But I really like when I get to work with artists one on one and they
Mhm.
bring in either we'll write the song together or like they'll bring in a song they've written. So they kind of bring me the skeletons of the song, whether it's like a audio recording of a guitar vocal that they did, and then I'll start to build around that. And I really like to hear them out and figure out what they want because they're the artist. It's their piece of work. And I think because I'm also an artist, it's easier for me to understand what they're looking for
Mhm.
even though they might not, be able to put it into producer terms, they'll just be like, oh, I want it to sound kind of like dreamy, or I want it to sound like this, like, oh, the piano's kind of weird. Like I kind of just catch onto what they are looking for without them having to really explain it perfectly. So I think, yeah, part of that comes from the fact that I'm also working with other producers. Like I get what they're looking for. And I mean, I'll make my suggestions. I'll make it sound the way that I would do it, and more often than not, they're cool with it. I have yet to really deal with a situation where like we disagree strongly on
Yeah.
something. It's usually small little like, oh, maybe this kick shouldn't be there, and I'll follow their lead on that. But if I feel strongly about something, I'll try to argue it. But there's never really been any kind of clash with like any producer or artist or writer up to now. We kind of just always end up like seeing eye to eye at the end.
Interesting.
It's a
That's
really fun
awesome.
process. It's honestly, I enjoy writing for other artists even more than writing for myself, if not a little more. But part of that is because when you're writing for yourself, you're so picky and it's like harder to delve deep into your own shit rather than tell me what you're going through and I'll help you
Yeah.
put it into words. Or if it's like something for sync where it's like, they need this kind of song for film or TV, they tell you exactly what they're looking for, they send a reference, and then it's just easy. It's just like, okay, got it. Here you go. So it's like much more complicated when it's like all on you and it's kind of you have free reign to do whatever you want.
Yeah. I can see it, that like that blank paper, like
Yeah.
the word blank Word document. It's like,
Yeah.
man, this
Yeah.
is
Sometimes
there's so many things I could say.
yeah, sometimes you just want like someone to tell you what to do, and then because there's like no way you can really mess up. But it's if it's just you and it's no one else in the room saying like, oh, maybe we should do this or maybe we should do that. You're just never sure, if you're going in the right direction.
Interesting. Interesting. That's very cool. Well, when you do write, you obviously have, you kind of have to keep that live set in mind. Now, how much live stuff have you done, currently? Like, I know, have you gone and played a lot of shows, and what have those been like?
So I hadn't really been doing live shows at all up until last year.
Hmm.
In like September, I did my first show at Hotel Cafe. And then less than a month later in October, I did a Breaking Sound show, which was super fun. And then I did another one in November and my last acoustic set in December. And then I did one recently a couple weeks ago. So, yeah, going into it, that first performance, I was so nervous and I had a band with me, which made it a lot easier because, I'm a musician. So having other musicians with you, you just kind of, you feel safer. And then the October show, my second show, I was like, I felt much more prepared. And it became slowly, I started to understand like the fun of it
Hmm.
because I'm a perfectionist and I'm always thinking of like, oh, is everyone else enjoying this? And you get so in your head that it's like when you're on stage, people can tell if you're having fun and if you yourself are enjoying the process. And that makes it much more enjoyable for them. So I think like it was a matter of finding that and not being like in your head the entire time. Because when you're vibing with it and you're having a good time, automatically the audience feels that and they're also
Yeah.
having a good time. So it took me a couple goes to find that and not be so freaked out before every single show. So yeah, it was very foreign to me in the beginning. I've just been used to like being stuck in my room alone recording for months on end and like never having to worry about doing live stuff. Like I thought this was going to be much further down the line than it was.
Yeah.
But I'm now at a point where I look forward to it and I'm honestly super excited for the next one. And yeah, I think it's just a matter of like practice, getting, a sense of what do I want to, what experience do I want to provide on stage after you hear my music on your own, like what are you
Mhm.
guys expecting to see me do on stage? So I'm still trying to find it, but
Yeah.
getting closer every time.
I like it. I like it. So what, I think like I ask this to everybody, but what is it, I've never been to an Anna Margo show. Some people I have seen whenever they've come on
Yeah.
here, but it's what can I expect?
Uh,
I'm walking into the Masquerade here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm walking into Smith's Old Bar and we're excited. Maybe I've had a couple cocktails. I don't
yeah,
know. We'll
yeah,
see.
yeah,
But
yeah. Okay.
like,
You can probably expect someone on guitar next to me, maybe someone on bass, someone on the drums, that's for sure, and me in front of keys.
all
So
right,
I don't like to sit and play while I'm singing, but I'm just standing and I have my keyboard in front of me,
all
and
right.
we tell the story as we go. It's always different. It depends on like what the vibe that night is, but it's always a fun time. Yeah, we just like go on this journey together based off of like the music, and it's always been like super fun. And I feel so much more comfortable up there with the keys, even though
Mhm.
technically it might be harder to play and sing, but I just feel more like me when I'm just like playing and singing. There's a lot of piano solos and like moments with like guitar and like jamming out. I might pick up a guitar next time, so we'll see.
All right.
Yeah, so a lot of like musicianship for sure, just because it's just always been a part of me. But yeah,
And we're gonna break out some Chopin at any point. I mean, like,
I mean,
there's potential.
maybe you're not far off.
I like it. I like it. I mean, I would go up there and be like, "Hey guys, I won a contest. I won multiple contests with this one," and just
Oh my
go in
god.
and crush it. I
Not a
mean,
bad
I
idea. Not a bad
I'd
idea.
be I'd be bragging about that
Yeah,
for
yeah,
years. I
yeah.
mean, that's so cool. So, well, great. I mean, like, that's a full band with some keys. I mean, I can expect some high energy. I like it. I
Yeah,
think that the term journey is such a good term for like a concert, because like when you walk in there, like you really do own the room, and like you
yeah,
don't,
yeah,
you're taking everybody with you wherever you're going. So, um, well, awesome. Well, I think we're ready for some Pete Peterson party pack of questions.
okay.
This will be the hardest part of the interview. You're going to have to figure out if you like, one thing or another thing more. And so very, very good. But we'll roll into it. Pete Peterson's party pack of questions. 20 questions right in a row. Cake or pie? Anna Margo, let's go. Cake or
Let's
pie?
take my pie.
Cake or pie? Sorry, cake or pie?
Cake or pie? Oh,
Yeah.
pie.
Salad or soup?
Salad.
Sunrise or sunset? What are you seeing more of these days?
Sunset. I don't get
Would you
up early.
rather hit would you rather hit a home run or score a touchdown?
Touchdown. I feel like that's way more hype.
I like it. All right. Night in or night out? What are you doing more of?
Night in.
All
Definitely
right.
night in.
If you were to go out and your jam were to come on at a party you were at, are you more likely to do the robot or the worm?
The robot. Definitely robot.
Okay. All right.
The worm that's hard.
Guac or queso when you go to your favorite Mexican spot?
Guac.
All right. She's guacking around. I like it. All right. Waffles or pancakes?
Ooh. I'm gonna go waffle.
All right. I like it. Coffee or tea with your waffle?
Coffee.
All right. Dogs or cats?
I'm biased because I have dogs, but I love cats. But I have to go dogs.
All right, dogging it up. Are you more like a ninja or a pirate?
Ninja.
All right, stealth into the night. Gatorade or Powerade?
Um, Gatorade?
All right, all right. Toast or bagels?
Toast.
Chips or pretzels?
Chips.
All right, all right. Fries or tots?
What was the second one?
Tots? Tater
Tots.
tots?
Fries.
Fries.
Yeah.
All right. When you sit down after a long day of writing, recording, and overall creativity, and you want to unwind,
Hmm.
TV show or a movie? What are you putting on?
TV show.
TV show. Are aliens real?
Of course they are.
Okay. Is Bigfoot real?
Uh, Probably not.
All right, hard line on Bigfoot. I like it. Is love at first sight real?
No.
Okay, like it. You got to earn it. And who are two bands? Just give me two that we might not know that we ought to check out, and we will look up and tell them that you sent us. Who are some people that we need to check out?
Well, I don't know if they count as a band, but there's this girl group called Boys World who are super dope and they're fairly new too, but they just put a video and song out that I really, really liked. And then, damn, I don't know. That's hard. Like a band you haven't heard of before?
Yeah,
Mm,
I mean they could be
mm,
somebody I've heard of, but that we may need to check out more of.
Flight? Flyte.
I have not heard of them. They're good.
There you go. They're pretty
What do you recommend?
good. Love is an accident.
Love is an accident.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, Anna Margo, congratulations. You conquered Pete Peterson's party pack of questions.
I did it.
You ran through it like a knife through butter. We love it.
was life or death. I had to.
I love it. All right. Well, you guys can check out, everybody can check out Anna Margo on Instagram at Margo. You can find her on Spotify. You can stream Something to Lose. You can stream Place, which has an awesome video to it. You can go watch all the videos. Something to Lose came out today, Monday, April 3rd. Expect to see an EP maybe 2023 in this era.
Yep.
Some tour dates maybe coming. Are we coming to the East Coast?
I am really, really trying to come to the East Coast. I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, hopefully soon.
I like it. I like it. Well, if you come to Atlanta, you got two fans and Tash and I, and
Thank
we'll do our
you.
best to be there. So we love
Awesome.
we love making new friends. So awesome. Well, you guys check out Anna Margo everywhere you can find music. And I appreciate you having taking the time to come on.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on. This was super fun.
Awesome. Thank you.
So much.